You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
And we're back for week 6 of the 2019 BDFFL season. Today, we have a very special surprise guest, our very own 3-time BDFFL league champion, Justin. Woo!
Bravo to the champ.
Yeah. Warm reception. Huh? And he's here to talk about his blazing 4-1 start. So tell us, Justin, how do you continue to produce the sustained excellence?
Well, first off, thanks, Matt. Thanks. It's great to be back on the pod. Love being invited on, so thanks for having me. By the way, how's your wife, EA? Is she back on the sidelines doing interviews yet, or is she still on maternity leave?
She's doing great. Thanks for asking. Not back to work. She still has a couple weeks before that. I will say fatherhood has been amazing.
That's awesome. Glad to hear it, man. Well, listen, it's been a great season, and I owe it all to the hard work and grind that I put in during the off season. I mean, this summer I must have spent 4 full weeks researching rosters and players to figure out exactly the team I wanted. I will say it really helps that I'm unemployed at the moment and haven't been able to book a gig. The hair modeling business is quite competitive these days, but anyway, at least it gives me time to watch all the games at my parents' house, right? Know what I mean? But 4-1 start, that just shows the research pays off.
Well, hell yeah, it does. That's great, man. I'm sure you're going to find some great hair modeling business. You have hair like Fabio, big golden blonde locks falling down on your broad shoulders. Me, I'm just a simple custodian, clean up kids' puke at the high school. I got to say, that's really impressive, man. I'd love to get a little advice on my lineup offline when this I've been relying on third-party websites so heavily for the past few years. I saved up 2 months of salary and I bought the Fantasy Pros, and I used that one at the draft. It hadn't been working out so well for me, but I think it's this time for me to put in hard. I think I'm going to put in a hard work, which I'm no stranger to, like you do, Justin. I really want to make it to the playoffs one of these years.
Yeah, I just wish I simply had more time. Teaching 18th century literature at Yale takes up an ample portion of my time. Between working up on my upcoming year's curriculum and my dissertation on social emotional learning, I simply can't find the time to get better at fantasy football.
Anyways, guys, who do you have for the front runners for the playoffs this year, other than Justin, of course?
Well, yeah, Justin, obviously.
Well, Justin, hey, man, that guy knows fantasy football, man. I guess I'll talk about someone who I think is pretty smart, too. His name is Christopher Doval, and he has been grown up with a silver spoon in his mouth, and his parents gave him good schooling, and he works at NASA now. And he uses all them big numbers and all that math, and he uses all that to figure out how to pick the best team every week. He still has the least points for in the league, but he has the least points against as well. This guy is a perennial defensive Moneyball master.
Now, while I agree with all your comments there, sir, I believe that this is a Premier League, and sometimes they're a little bit crude and even your style. But otherwise, I will digress from there and probably talk about a gentleman named George. All right, Matt? I think George is great. I mean, George just right now, every challenge that he faces in this league, obviously going deaf 2 years ago in an accident there on a movie set, he's been able to get lucky. I mean, Matthew Berry came out with his own Braille guide to the fantasy football season this year, and it's really working off. Every year ever since then, he's been getting top keepers. It looks like the accident actually worked in his favor.
Yeah, that's the accident didn't work in his favor, it seems like. And another guy that everything seems to be working out for him this season is Nieves. He seems to be another top team, and he's taking his water slide business to the top of the business with landing a contract with Disney, and he's taking his team this year to the top of the league, making all these draft picks and the keepers that he's had for the last couple of years. I think his team is poised to make a run.
See, I love water slides, man. They're so fun. Go on down.
Well, personally, my favorite team is Benny Murray's team, one of the two African Americans in our league. He's simply outstanding at picking players, and it's amazing with how he's so stringent against people with tattoos. He hates tattoos. He hates it what's on people around him. Even his players, he researches all the players to make sure that they don't have any tattoos. Makes it very hard to find players, especially a defense.
Those are all great teams. So what about the shitty teams? What about the baby dicks for this year? What do you guys?
Oh
think?
man, this feller, he's like me. He ain't never been to school. He ain't never graduated. That's right. I'm talking about Carlson. This guy, he hates school, and that's why he's spending all his time in his business. I think, and I think he's not looking at fantasy. He's loan sharking student loans. This man, he knows how to make money. He doesn't know how to get A's. So he's not looking at numbers. He's not a calculating mind. He's just a dumb son of a bitch who's loaning out money at exorbitant interest rates.
Again, I thought this was a Premier League, but one thing that we in Nassau always love to do is have some diversity. And I personally think that one of the, this is not looking too good, I would say, looking at the baby dick. I mean, it's not fair, but she's pretty interested or running in the right form here. It's Carly Kim. She's been pretty busy on the campaign for Bernie Sanders, trying to help out there, as well as her wife is honestly just keeping her too busy with their new Japanese barbecue restaurant in the Hamptons. So it looks like it's going to be a hit out there. She also she traded Todd Gurley over and recently got back Devontae Freeman. So it's kind of, maybe not going to help. Well, no, that's really a downgrade if you ask me.
Yeah, that's very true. It was a downgrade. Speaking of downgrades, ever since this guy entered the league, he's downgraded his team. But let's be real. The baby dick for this year, it's going to be Eric. He's been busy working on his second Nobel Prize in literature through his dissertation on social and emotional learning. He's on the verge of becoming the first 3-time BDD in the league.
I'm seriously doing very important things outside this league. I couldn't care less about fantasy football.
You know what, Eric? I am with you. I agree. If we wouldn't get to this moon if it wasn't for us.
I know.
Y'all are a couple smart sons of bitches, I'll tell you that.
I thought this was a Premier League.
We definitely need to vote out the scum in this league.
Yeah, so
I agree.
Duval keeps on mentioning that it's you keep on mentioning it's a Premier League. Like, what events have made this a Premier League? Justin, do you have one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be fun to look back at the top 5 memories to date in the BDFFL. I mean, something that comes to mind for me, it's not particularly a happy memory, but it's an important one that we'll all never forget. That's the Nightmare Fantasy Draft of 2015 on Chris Doval's boat when Danny Noste took over the steering. You remember, Chris was incapacitated, so Danny had to drive, but Danny had been drinking all day, as he's known to do from time to time, also while on the job. So not surprising, while behind the wheel of the boat, and he crashed it into those rocks, and Carlos went overboard, and we lost our precious commish.
Oh my gosh, such a stain on this league, honestly, and on my boat, honestly. I mean, one thing's losing Carlos, but losing that wonderful 32 Boston Whaler, I mean, gosh, he'll never be replaced.
It's like, and how you fit 14 grown men in the blazing sun out in the draft. What a phenomenal draft that was.
Yeah. Before we move on,
it was a little tight on that boat.
Before we move on, let's take a moment of silence for our dear commish
and my boat.
All right, well, now that's over, I want to talk about my memory. And with skill, I love violence. I love fighting. And watching Frisco, who's now a full-time amateur fighter, beat the shit out of Ryan, put him in a rear naked choke, and watch him just go night-night. Woo! 2012 draft memories. I love that. Woo!
Well, I'll say when Tony Aguilera, a staple to this league, beat out John Mosier, another big component of this league, to be the commissioner. Yes, Tony has been the greatest probably addition to this fantasy football league that there's ever been. So that would be my top. I'll say that's number 3.
You know what? Leadership is important, Eric. And one thing that we pride ourselves here in Nassau is analytics. And my favorite moment was when we found that to expand on the most consistent and well-rounded position in the league, which is kicker. I mean,
absolutely.
The studies out there are clearly identifying that kicking is the future for the NFL. And when we remove the tight end, well, we just got rid of a blocking position, in my opinion. So
And that's why they call it football, because the most important part of the game is kicking.
agreed. That's what gave us the sport.
You guys know that's just going to make it more likely for me to get my fourth BDFFL championship.
Well, it's inevitable at this
Well,
point.
we'll see. And personally, my favorite memory, and it's didn't even happen with my team, but it was just it's just one of those shut up moments that I really like. It was Justin in the beginning of the year drafted Thomas Rawls in the first, Dante Moncrief in the second, and Tyrod Taylor in the 10th, and that ended up being the backbone of his first championship team.
Those are the who of fantasy football.
Those are fancy players. They're pretty good.
Real good.
Yeah.
T-Mobile,
It was fantastic.
Thank
I couldn't believe, like, we were all shitting on him every day, and then he came back and just threw it in our mouths. But yeah, so
Oh,
What happened? Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Oh my
Stomach
god!
that.
That was so weird.
I would.
that was fun.
Oh,
It's like
I-
Stranger Things.
just
I want to.
massaging Justin's ego the entire time.
Oh, I want to live in that world. That's the best universe.
yeah.
I think it's prescient. I think it's prescient actually, because this is my years, boys. This is my year. The one
This
true
is your
thing
year,
that was happening
dude.
there is that I am 4-1.
Oh yeah. Oh.
You're gonna do it. You're doing. You're gonna be good. You're doing it. You are doing it.
I'm gonna do good
You're
season.
gonna be good.
Eric, how hard was it to keep that erudite and intellectual accent up the entire time?
I was more impressed with Robinson keeping that southern drawl the whole time. That was really
I thought he was
good.
gonna forget.
That was me, man.
I couldn't stop.
Robinson's really good with accents. It's kind of fucking annoying, but yeah, it's one of
That
those
was
things that I
fun.
wish I can do, and like seeing somebody else do it, it's like fuck you, bro.
So
Like-
do we want to reminisce about how bad Justin has been and like come back to reality here?
That's not part of the skit I prepared, Deval. Let's get back to the normal podcast here.
Do you want to publish another obituary for me this year?
Yeah. So I'm just gonna stall really quick for 2 seconds to give Robinson a breather, and but I don't know. It's Justin. It really is nice to have you on the podcast. We really don't get a lot of people to join, so it is pretty cool to have that. And thanks for preparing that skit. It's always a pleasure to do things like that all the time. So let's do this. Let's get into the week 5 reviews.
Oh yeah, everyone! Guess who's back? Back again! Nope, it's not the Doughboy. It's Justin, back for another victory. That makes it 3 in a row as he takes down Eminem 140.2 to 89.7. Two top dynamic QBs faced off in this matchup, and it was Deshaun Watson as the victor, as his Texans pummeled the Falcons with a 50-burger on top of them. Lindsey keeps paying Justin back for that 100 fab bid he put in a year ago, but Eminem continues to struggle with a lineup outside of Kamara and Juju that isn't doing much. I'm sure Eminem wants kickers gone immediately and perhaps phoned in the firing of Cairo Santos as he missed 4 field goals. He's out! He's out! Justin keeps on rolling and is on swag alert. Give me the war cry, Justin!
Up next, MDK Nieves
Sorry,
versus
George.
Carlson, 112.2 to 85.9. Nieves continues to shovel the debt onto Carlson in this defeat, hurting him further and further in his hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. Carlson's all his asses shit the bed. David Montgomery, 10 points. Peyton Barber, 9.6. Joey Sly, who he's named his team after, who he since changed it, -2. Aren't we glad kickers are gone, guys? MDK continues to press on, but in this matchup, he lost Evan Ingram. It's going to be a problem for him going forward, but 3-2 is certainly better than 2-3. Sorry, Carlson.
I think you could say he's going bankrupt, Boom.
Taking the bank or not.
Next, we have Duval versus Eric. And you know your season is done when you basically all the players you traded for get hurt the very first Sunday that they play for you. Duvall hits 100 points for the second time this season and double up Eric's points 112 to 56 to go to 4-1 on the year.
Yeah. We go to the showdown between the commission and the producer. This game was a Western style shootout. Both teams combined to have 13 players in double digits. Matthews Bandits, Leonard Quick-Fingered Fournette, and Delvin Two Lives Cook combined for 45 points. And the 49ers D found some gold in their up in their mountains, adding another 20. There's a new sheriff in town though, as Cooper Golden Tooth Cup hit for 22 points. Amari Have Mercy Cooper went OK Corral, dropping 44 souls. Robinson 128, George 144. Yeah!
Well, guess what? I love me the Asian Bowl. Boy Rice had so much Asian food this weekend with Kev that he didn't know what such things was real Chinese and American Chinese. Can you believe that? But ordering is one thing, cooking is another, and this chef continues to dominate this rivalry as Ben takes it 139 to 122.6. Who would have thought that the Packers would beat the Cowboys and that Dak would outshine Rodgers? Also, the trade for Mack and the pick for Josh Jacobs haunts the Bears when Jacobs racks over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns on them. Did anyone also see Sony Michel can actually catch out of the backfield? Is this really an alternate universe? Is the Twilight Zone real? Chiefs ground attack was muted for Kevin, and Doe plus Hardman was enough for Ben to see in real life his team overcome a masterful game. Chef Sensei with the win.
Next up, we have the hat-wearing, former championship-playing KC pals, our very own Lenny and George, Ryan versus Mushkin. This game was not even close as Mushkin got his revenge, doubling up Ryan's score. Both teams are now 2-3, fighting for playoff berth. Ryan 70, Mushkin 148. Ayo.
Ouch.
When you're picking up defenses that are dropping 35 points in a game and getting 45 points from your RB2, there's little that the other team can hope for. Josh was blown away. No State wins 164 to 108.
Can I I'm going to put aside, I want to underline the Ryan and Mushkin matchup. I talked to Mushkin after the trip, and he's like, we're never, ever going to a game without first having the schedule set in fantasy football, because they went to Kansas City together, and in the 1 o'clock games before they were going, Will Fuller dumped 50 points in Ryan's face as Mushkin's there gloating, and then he got to go to the Kansas City game and watch Pat Mahomes struggle as Indianapolis held the ball the whole time. Ryan was like, this is the worst weekend of my life, and I think frankly that's why we didn't see him. We didn't see him in
The end of the hat friends.
Yeah,
It's over,
the end
man.
of the hat friends. That's
It's
why I set
over.
the schedule that way.
The honeymoon stage is over.
Yeah. Next, we have the waiver wires. This segment is brought to you by Nostonomics. It's not just for fantasy football, I swear. So first up, we have the worst picks of the week. I went with No State and Nostonomics, $5 for the Fins D. I know they're playing the Redskins, but like I just don't have any faith in the Dolphins defense. You know, the Washington might run up 36 points on them and 200 yards and whatever, you know. So rushing and passing.
Dwayne Haskins is gonna do that?
Yeah, we'll see.
You gotta be fucking kidding me, man.
We'll see.
The Fins D, I actually like it. It's a good one.
It's like everybody's been doing anything they want against them. Who's up next?
I guess I'll go. I'm picking my co-host, Eric, with the Pittsburgh D, $8 bid. And look, I'm not saying they're going to do poorly. I'm really not, because Mike Pouncey just went on AR. They're beat up all over the place, the Chargers. However, you know, even this is a minority pick. They're not rated in the top 12 defenses for the week, like across the consensus rankings. And even though this defense has been playing better and Minkah Fitzpatrick is coming on and they're really relying on it and rallying around it, it's still an East Coast team going west. And even though the Chargers don't really have a good home field advantage, it's like, this is very cheeky. This could be a good play. But the reason this is a bad pick is because it's a cheeky pick you spent $8 on. Nobody else even bid on them. So I like your idea of what you're going for, but this could have been $1 pickup. And not everybody was keen on this like you are. So that's why.
Well,
I'm gonna go next. I want to keep pounding on.
Okay, all right. Go for it.
All right,
Bang, bang,
all right.
bang,
You
bang.
got two right here. You got Vernon Davis. I mean, have you been looking at the Redskins? They suck. And right now they're phasing out Vernon Davis as they try to go young with Jeremy Sprinkle or whatever his name is. He's the true tight end there in Washington. So I don't know what you're doing there, what you're even doing starting them. Also, you went Gardner Minshew for 15. Granted, Minshew is something hot now, but when Nick Foles comes back in about 2 weeks, he's a backup. Come on, man.
Wow. So let me get this straight. In the alternative universe, I still suck. And then you guys are going to all shit on me. I don't even get to go first. So I got to defend myself here. All right. I'm taking the gloves off. First off, the Steelers defense, they're going to have to play well because they're going to have to run the ball because no quarterback. They still have an offensive line. They still have a good team. Their defense got upgraded. So they are playing well, and they have a great schedule. Like you said, the Chargers has a bunch of injuries all over the place. So I like that pickup. I don't care if no one else did anything. And as for Minshew, he is the Jesus. He's pretty much what Matt Robinson's voice was, but as Jesus, okay? And if you look at the next 5 matchups, it's certain. He has great plus matchups. They're going against New Orleans this week. I'm very happy with those pickups. And Vernon Davis, bro, he was free. I could put any fucking stupid tight end in there. Look at what's available. It's all terrible. Yeah.
So was the Steelers D. They were free, but you spent $8. That's why it's a bad pickup.
Wait. So you justified this by saying that the Steelers D, they have to play well?
Yeah.
That was a great justification. And then Minshew is Jesus.
I think that they will do well, but I think the spend was bad.
Well, I think I could use them for the rest of the year.
That's fine. So what's your bad pick, Eric?
My bad pick is Hillman for $8. I'm all for a 1-week rental, but this guy's going against the best defense in the league, the Patriots. And on Thursday night, short turnaround. I don't think this guy, he only got 10 touches. I think it's going to be a split. It's going to be committee anyways, and they're going to be playing from behind. I don't know how much value that Ben's going to get from this guy. The one of the 2 black guys in our league. Oh, sorry. No, we're back to reality. One of the 2 Asian guys. So
some people say colored folk.
I would say he overspent. He was desperate times, call for desperate measures, but I thought it was a bad pick.
Since you got to go last in the worst picks, what about the best picks? What's your best pick of the week?
I think Carlson's pickup of Ito Smith for only $4. Atlanta's running game has been ugly, but Ito has been receiving more touches as he's throughout the season. He's up to 11 touches last week. He's averaging more yards per carry than Freeman. That guy's gross. I would trade him. If you have him, I would trade him for anything that you could get because that guy's going to fall apart, all right? He just stumbled into the end zone twice. It's the only reason why he looked any good. He's averaging 3.1 yards a carry. Ito has a shot to make that a 50-50 split, especially as much as the Falcons are going to be behind. Ito Smith has been playing more in the passing role. So
let me go next. I love being the cream in this Oreo. For me, I thought the best pickup this week was actually Eminem going with Everett. And
you know what? I wanted him. Fuck. I was pissed off that I missed out.
I think everyone was going for him, and while I think Eminem might have overpaid, I think it was still a good move.
I paid $1 more than
he was only $1 over Justin. Yeah.
Well, I don't think that tied in at that value.
You're just cheap, Doval. That's your problem.
I am very cheap. I wait and I drop it later. I'll wait till the end. So, anyways, it was a great move, Eminem. You blocked a lot of people, clearly, and you just continue to make me commit to OJ Howard. So, c'est la vie, my friend. Let's rumble.
For me, I liked Ben's pickup after the waivers cleared. Matt Stafford for $0. This guy has gone against some good defenses and one really bad one, but he still managed to put up 300 yards in every game. And he's bounced back. He's not the Matt Stafford from last year. This team under Matt Patricia is looking better. The defense is playing better. Carry-on's running the ball. I think that down the stretch, this is going to be a useful QB. I don't think Ben needs one, so he's picking him up as trade bait, so that's a little questionable. But I think it's a great value of a player to just put on the bench when you have people that are scrounging around with the Gardner Minshews and Teddy Bridgewaters of the world.
It's definitely better. I was
Minshew's redneck Jesus. Sorry.
Yeah, I was looking through the waiver wire and I wasn't really happy with the choices that I'm going to have to make when it comes to my quarterback buy. So it is a good one just to have sitting there on the bench. So I guess it's time for us to move on to our favorite part of the show, the week 6 previews. Woo! So I went back and I actually recalculated the picks because I counted Duval's, like, one of his random I didn't make it to the show picks twice instead of it's split differently. So I have the actual correct audited picks. Robinson with 16 is in first.
That's what I thought.
Duval is tied with me and with 14, and Eric had a horrible week this week, and this is why he's behind. He picked 1 out of 7 this week, and he's in last place with 11. So no more water balloons for me.
You guys should invite me over. You guys should invite me over for Red Zone because I think I just brought that negative weak energy to you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone lost that was
Your
there.
team was so.
We lost our parlay. We lost every single bet that we did.
Yeah, it was a black hole of suck.
Yeah, that's what it says. It's like you were just like your negativity so much. It was just a black hole.
We put on afterburners. We're like, let's throw more money on the fire. We can't all suck this bad. Bet on the 4:00 games. What's going to happen? We're like, the Packers are going to win.
Yeah.
And they fucking did.
Which we should have bet on the spread, but we didn't.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the first game of the week is the brother-in-law game. It's Carlson versus Robinson. We all went with Robinson on this one. I just think your team is just, I think it's just bounds and leaps ahead of Carlson's at this point. Carlson's assets, we mentioned it earlier, are he picks the Montgomery isn't shaping up to what he wants to be. McLaurin is got injured and now he's going through a quarterback change. So his team seems to be having a lot of holes and they're not hitting. So do you guys have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, Carlson's team, he has some guys on bye. He has David Montgomery on bye. John Ross, who was a top receiver when he had him, is also on IR. D.D. Westbrook, I think, is a sneaky start and could be good. Adam Thielen might be in a high-scoring game against the Eagles. But right now, Robinson's team has way too much firepower, has great matchups. Tyler Lockett looks like a top 10 receiver. Zach Ertz finally got into the end zone last week, right? Is that correct, Robinson?
Yeah, he got in the end zone last week.
So yeah, he got a taste of the end zone. He's going to go in there for more. And Dalvin Cook has been outside of McCaffrey, the best running back in the league, and Leonard Fournette has been tearing it up as well. So we all have Robinson winning. So.
Yeah, I thought we were all gonna just skip this when no one was saying anything. Like, yeah, we just all went with the commish. We're good. Yeah. I mean, Carlson just at the running back level for me isn't cutting it. I mean, Peyton Barber, I mean, he's on and off. I mean, he's just basically a goal line back. So hopefully you get a touchdown there, and then so is Ito Smith if his number gets called. So I mean, Carlson's just really living on a prayer right now if he wants to actually win this game. While if you look at Matt's team, it's just consistently up and down, got great matchups. I mean, two-headed monster at running back, some good speed at receiver there with Samuel and Lockett that can break a big one. And at the end of the day, it's just top to bottom, something that Carlson's just not going to be able to compete with this week. So I see it as a runaway win.
Let me just jump in before you all finish jerking each other off here, and let me just put out an alternate universe, okay? And in this alternate universe, Thielen, Kelsey, and McLaurin go fucking ham in their matchups. Philadelphia's got enough firepower to keep the scoring going so that Thielen's usage stays up, right? And if it doesn't go to Ertz, Carlson comes out on top. Kelsey, we all know what he can do. Scary Terry torches the Miami Dolphins. Joe Sly kicks for 50, obviously. Lamar Jackson is against Cincy. Terrible, terrible defense. He might put up 40-something points this week, okay? Peyton Barber and Ito Smith can fucking drop goose eggs. It doesn't really matter. And meanwhile, on Matt's team, you have Leonard Fournette get bottled up by an actually pretty good fucking Saints D playing in the dome over there. The Saints are awesome at home. Dalvin Cook against Philly, that might be some points, but Jameis isn't guaranteed to do great. Okay, Carolina just showed what they could do last week, so I think I'm gonna actually go for Carlson here, and I can't wait to be the only person that's right.
I don't entirely disagree with you. I was gonna come out and give Carlson's team's a couple accolades because I don't like my matchups this week. Philadelphia is one of the best rush defenses in the league against Dalvin Cook, and they get beat in the secondary. Who does Carlson have? Adam Thielen. Leonard Fournette, like you said, going up against New Orleans, great defense. And Jameis Winston against Carolina, they've also been a fantastic defense. And then finally, Robert Woods is going against my defense that I'm starting, the 49ers, which has been one of the top 5 defenses in the league. So, I cap myself there.
Remember that time when you made fun of me for getting the Niners D?
Yeah, what an idiot. I can't believe you don't.
Do you remember that time that you made fun of me for picking up Minshew and you just said that Carolina has a good defense and he just dropped 25 points on them? Remember?
I didn't say that.
2 minutes ago?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah,
It was Duvall.
Sorry. Duvall.
It was me that said that Minshew wasn't. And I think that Minshew. I said Minshew is good, but you're basically.
Spoiler alert, I'm about to give you some credit over here with the Minshew thing, so don't be such a victim.
There's just too many people in here. I can't recall what everyone said.
I just said that he's only going to last you.
Eric is like, everyone's against me. Fuck you. Fuck you. All right, point is Carlson's a fucking loser. Next.
Next matchup is Justin versus Ryan. I got Justin winning this one. He's going to keep the train going. What do you think, Robinson?
I so badly wanted to pick Ryan in this matchup, and not because of a personal motivation that we have as far as a bet between Justin and I, but because I think Ryan's team is sneaky good this week. If not for the fact that he's starting the Seahawks D at Cleveland, which we all seen. Cleveland has a terrible O-line. They can't give Baker Mayfield a pocket at all, so they can't utilize the weapons. The problem is on this team, like that may be a good start, but he needs Odell Beckham Jr. to beat a very beatable Seattle's secondary. And because his running back options are pretty weak, OBJ was not good last week, and Mike Evans gave him a 0. So he needs OBJ to be good. And because he's got Seattle starting, I think he caps his upside here. And I ultimately go with Justin because Justin is 4-1, undeniably a great team, even though he has sort of weaknesses because he's got buys. He's got Terrell Williams on bye, and he's got Marlon Mack on bye. And don't underestimate those contributions that have come to his team. Terrell Williams has been scoring at an insane clip touchdowns, and Marlon Mack has been good for 15 plus points a week. Those are 2 big hits to his roster here. So Justin instead is starting Deontay Johnson, who is now down to his 3rd string quarterback, and Mike Williams, who we were just talking about that Steelers D pickup and Mike Pouncey going up and all that, their whole team being beat up. So that those 2 guys are weaknesses I see for Justin. Philip Lindsay,
I picked up Preston Williams for a reason, but I don't know how I feel about that. I was actually gonna start Everett over either.
Yeah, it's a dice roll there. Philip Lindsay, who's been also great for you, giving you 25-point games out of the blue when in a 50-50 split with Royce Freeman there. He comes in, saves the day. I don't know if you can expect that against Tennessee. That's a top defense. I don't think you're going to get that type of production. Melvin Gordon, yeah, he's great. I think Melvin Gordon's going to get all the work, get all the rushing work. However, Austin Eckler has earned his role in this offense, and they're going to give him, I think, all the passing work. I think Melvin Gordon's kind of devolved into now a run-only running back, and they're going to use Eckler in the passing game because they want Eckler. They got injured receivers, even though Mike Williams is coming back. Dontrell Inman's out. And Travis Benjamin are out, so they split out Eckler in 3 wide receiver sets and everything, and so they want to pass it to him. So I think Melvin Gordon doesn't have quite the upside that he normally does. Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins at Kansas City. I think DeAndre Hopkins has his bounce back games, and I think he goes off. And ultimately, I think that's the difference for Justin. Oh wait, and let's not forget Patriots D against the Giants, who you can't even start a football team. Yeah, Justin's going to win this unless Ryan has some sort of miracle.
I think the big matchup here is Deshaun Watson versus Patrick Mahomes. They're going heads up. So Patrick Mahomes got a little shaken up. Deshaun Watson has been playing lights out. This could either be a big shootout, or they could see the game tape of what the Colts did against the Chiefs and then try to pound it out. I think they're going to stick to what's been working, and it's going to be a shootout. I think Deshaun Watson will get the better of Patrick Mahomes, actually, because of his ability to run. Patrick Mahomes might be a little hurt. Texas defense has a better D line, so I can see Deshaun Watson outplaying Patrick Mahomes in this matchup. Like you said, Melvin Gordon is going to get a lot of touches against Pittsburgh. I think he's going to be good. Philip Lindsay has been pretty solid all year. DeAndre Hopkins, I think this is his bounce back week. Mike Williams, we got to see what his production is going to be. And Will Disley has been Russell Wilson's go-to guy. If you look on the other side, though, because I was tempted also to go with Ryan, but he's trotting out there with Jamal Williams. He's questionable for this week. I don't know. Is Aaron Jones out? Is there something that I'm missing here?
No, it's just that when Jamal Williams was healthy, I know where Ryan was going with this. When Jamal Williams was healthy, they were almost a 50-50 split. So and they are pounding the rock. So there's value with that guy that he can steal a TD or two, which he did in the first weeks.
But I just think Aaron Jones has been playing so well. I think he's going to be taking more of a lion's share against the Lions haven't been pushed over on defense either.
Well,
so
correct. It's not a great matchup.
Agreed. Well, for those of you that have been listening to the pod for a while, I mean, I actually was big on some of the Jamal Williams pickups earlier this year. I think it was you, Kamish, that actually jumped on him for a little bit. I mean, Jamal Williams was the better draft pick, or was it Josh? I think it was Josh that picked him up. Anyways, Jamal, yeah, because it was Josh, and Josh got it knocked the fuck out in that game. So Jamal Williams, I look at it, I look at that position there, and when I see Ryan's lineup, I just can't get over it. I mean, while I think he has plus matchups, I mean, Austin Hooper, we look at the tight end. Arizona is probably the weakest defense against tight ends. And they always, I mean, obviously they played the Bengals, but Tyler Effort's working on like maybe just one ligament and another kneecap. I don't know. I mean, it just didn't look pretty. It was a stream play, but not good for last weekend. So Austin Hooper, I think, has a plus matchup this weekend against Arizona. Odell Beckham, I think, will get going. Seattle is not good against the pass. That's how teams are trying to attack them. Mike Evans obviously always has a big game against Carolina. They're in the division. But yeah, when I like Eric said, Mahomes, Watson, great matchup, but I mean, great battle there, especially since they're going against each other in the game. Jamal Williams, to me, just doesn't, it seems like they're just not going to work him in. Like Eric, you said, Aaron Jones is going to get a ton of love, and they're going to keep giving the rock. They do want to preserve him, but I just don't think it's going to, kind of muster up any points for Ryan here. And then I'll just finish off by saying that, you look at Justin's team, that big three right there, Melvin Gordon, Philip Lindsay, and Hopkins, is just awesome. And then Disley is clearly getting a lot of love there in the Seahawks passing game. And New England is going to run amok with the Giants there in Foxborough. So Justin, to me, is a good win. If I saw another running back there for Ryan, maybe I'd say this game's closer, but it's not.
So yeah, Justin, clean sweep. Next up, we have Eric versus Nostay. It's really funny because I was sitting here looking at the matchups, and I went with Nostay first. But looking at the roster, it's I think Nostay's team has pretty tough matchups, especially like he has. It's funny. He has two San Francisco players going against LA Rams, and he has Cooks going against San Francisco. So I feel like those two teams, and they have pretty good defenses, are going to kind of cap themselves. But even with that, I still got Nostay winning this matchup. What do you have, Eric?
I have Nostay winning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm going against myself. I scored 50 points last week. I scored 50 points this week. 2 weeks ago, I saw what Fantasy Pros was saying. I was like, okay, yeah, Fantasy Pros, you think you know everything. I'm going to do this and this and this. And then it didn't work out. I'm like, oh, shit, I should listen to Fantasy Pros. So this week, I was like, let me listen to Fantasy Pros. Let me listen to my colleague here, the commissioner. He's won a couple championships. And, yeah, that didn't work either. So, but to be fair, you didn't tell me to trade Freeman.
I didn't tell you to trade Gallup.
That didn't work out too well for 1 week, but that's okay. Danny's team scored 164 points last week.
I said I loved Gallup.
I don't know how big the regression is going to be, but
yeah, you had no chance.
His team, his guys right now are running well. Like I said, Aaron Jones has been picking up, and he's been a top running back. I'm a little worried. There's a lot of question marks. I don't know how much of a workload Eckler's going to get. My tried and true tight end is out. this week. And so
I will go and
Not
say that you are a pussy because I am picking you. I think you're going to win, dude.
oh, thanks, man.
Look, the fantasy pros all say you're going to lose. Okay. So the numbers have Dive Bar Dan winning this one. However, I have a funny feeling about the dudes on your team. I think you're going to get a lot of explosions from your guys. Like Gardner Minshew, who Doval was just shitting on. Not a great matchup against New Orleans. But however, he had not a great matchup against Tennessee, which is one of the best defenses in the league. And he played at Denver, which is also a very tough place to play, and at Carolina, which is a top 5 defense in the league. And all he's continued to do is put 16, 18, 16, 21 fantasy points up and continue to produce. I think that there's going to be no difference here. I think that he will do well. I spoke on Austin Eckler, how I think that he'll still be involved in a game where your offensive line is going to get blown by the pass rush. They're going to try and weaken that pass rush out with dump offs to the running back, and that the running back is going to be Austin Eckler. Matt Breida ran for 10 yards a carry on average last week. Yes, Tevin Coleman got more carries, but Breida still got 11. And Kyle Shanahan does not want to throw to his receivers. He doesn't like them. With this defense, what you're going to do is pound the rock. If Matt Breida is getting 12 to 15 carries a game, I like that. And the Rams defense has not been good. This is going to be the battle of Matt Breida versus Tevin Coleman. And I think that Breida can get the edge in this one. Finally, Julio Jones has been struggling for Eric. I think Julio gets right against this game at Arizona. Arizona's defense has been terrible. Matt Ryan has still been putting up over 300 yards a game. I think this is an explosion Julio game that we've been waiting on. Same thing for Marquise Brown against Cincinnati. That's a fucking terrible defense. He's been getting the targets. You just need one of those to connect. And his tweak of his ankle is not that bad. I expect him to play. I expect him to score. Vernon Davis at Miami, enough said. I think he might have 500 fantasy points. Our defense is horrible. I know a lot of you are picking us to win, but I think that's optimistic. It's not in our interest. I think we're going to try and lose really bad, where Washington may have a little more pride than we do. Courtland Sutton's a wide receiver 2 on the year. Let's not forget about him. He's gone 11, 21, and 17 points the last 3 weeks. Even though Tennessee is a shitty matchup, I dial him in for 15. On the other side of the aisle, we got Dive Bar Dan. All right. David Johnson didn't practice this week. He said he's fine. He didn't practice today. His back is locked up. I suspect that they might try to give Chase Edmonds more work. Dive Bar Dan picked up Chase Edmonds, but I think that lowers his upside. Same thing with Jamal Williams. I think he goes, and I think he splits carries with Aaron Jones, reducing it. I don't know if Brandon Cooks plays. He's got him starting right now. I don't think he may not go. I think George Kittle's going to go off, and Tevin Coleman will still get his. And that's why the pros think Danny's going to win. But I just think Eric's going to get some boom games from his receivers and his running back, and I think his QB won't let him down. Eric.
Kamish, why do you got to keep doing this to Eric? You just picked them up so big right now. And
I already switched it. I'm going back to me. Go me.
Look,
you talk about Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew has been successful because of a man that you own. His name's Leonard Fournette. Now, guess what the Saints do the best? Eliminate the run game. Eliminate it completely.
I don't like that.
All right? Now, while he will get his carries, can probably punch in a goal line, Gardner Minshew is not going to be seeing the pass lanes that he's used to seeing and that he's been given with other defenses that he's played. Because the Titans, to me, are not a great run defense. They're a good pass defense, even though they had that little flux against Gardner Minshew in the past there on that Thursday night. I just don't see it happening. You talk about Courtland Sutton going against Adoree Jackson. Granted, Adoree Jackson has his up and down games, but he's an athletic corner out there for the Titans. Julio Jones is going to pop off. You talk about big, like a big player there for Eric's team. Other than that, I don't really see much. I don't see Eckler. If you see if the Chargers get up big on the Steelers or just get up or got a comfortable lead, I think they're going to go to the ground pound game. They know that passing the ball and airing it out is not winning them games because time of possession is not in their favor. And as much as we can call out Aaron Jones not going to get a full carry, I mean, he just went for 4 touchdowns against the Cowboys in Dallas, in Jerry's world. You don't think they're going to do that over there in Ford Field over in Detroit?
They get
Yes,
whatever
it's
the
close.
guy
It's
10
closer than
carries.
what I think. It's closer than what the fantasy predictions are, or whatever site you're going to go to. I gave up on Fantasy Pros. They're fucking pissing me off the last few years.
Whoa.
For me, I look at this matchup and it is close. It does have it's going to be tight. Breida and Coleman, one of them is going to help, and we'll see. I think it comes down to the kicker, and Nugent is better than Boswell. I got Danny.
Coming down to the kickers, we won't have that happening next year. Next matchup is George versus Mushkin. I think this game looks to be uneven, but in reality is pretty close. I really like Georgia's team this year. I'm bought into Amari Cooper in Dallas. That's kind of blown me away. I thought Amari Cooper was a bust. Derrick Henry is a top 10 running back. Ezekiel Elliott's nothing that Ezekiel Elliott hasn't disappointed. He is who we thought. Cooper Kupp is the number 3 wide receiver and tends to be the number 1 wide receiver like for the Rams this year. It's not Cook or Woods. It seems like Jared Cook seems to be doing decent. He had a better chance with Breeze, but he's filling in. His team is doing well enough that it can fill in that hole anyways. But Mushkin, on the other hand, too, is like, look, Kyler Murray is a top 10 quarterback. Ingram's a top 10 running back. Will Fuller, after last week, is a top 10 wide receiver. Greg Olsen's a top 10 tight end. So even though we've been shitting on Mushkin and having a bad team all year, it's starting to come together. He's 2-3 now, and this matchup is a lot closer than people think. I think it's only like between like 3 or 4 points, but I still got George winning this one. I just think his elite players are just more elite than what Mushkin has.
Yeah, I'll follow up to that, Eminem. I agree. Where's Mushkin's strength? It's at the running back position, and guess who can match? George. And when you look at the receivers, granted, Will Fuller went off, and he is addicted to the red zone, or to the end zone. I'm sorry, because that guy, all he does is score touchdowns. That's the way it seemed. I mean, if he's not injured, he's scoring touchdowns. It's one or the other.
Really quickly, he would have had 2 additional touchdowns if he didn't get if he didn't get tackled at the one.
It's insane.
Like,
no, I mean
twice. It's
I
insane.
mean, everybody loves
ahead.
Fuller's upside. I think everybody's just scared of the injury thing there, and that's why I think Stills was so popular early on this year. But I mean, Fuller's been proving it for the last 2 years, coming into his 3rd year this year. But I mean, Cooper Kupp consistent, Amari Cooper consistent, Jared Cook, obviously Teddy Bridgewater likes giving him the ball a little bit outside of Michael Thomas. The only downside I see here is I think George feels like Chris Thompson has to play here, and when you think about these 3rd down backs, they're very good in a close game, or they're very good in a we've got to catch up game, passing game, and I just don't think it's going to be like that in Miami. I think you're going to see some 3 and outs. You're going to be maybe a turnover might change the game. It's going to be pretty sloppy, in my opinion, the game flow there. Where I think Cleveland and Seattle, and looking at him having Juice Landry there in the bench, I think that kind of game is going to be one that goes back and forth and caters more to points at the end of the day. So for me, I got George. I just don't like his flex. Other than that, he just outplays everything that I see from Mushkin.
I think George historically, he has a great team, but he's historically always been a 500 team. I think eventually he'll get out of it. But if you look at kind of what you're highlighting about Steven's team, is he does have some holes. Christian Kirk is out there. Greg Olsen, he's been pretty reliable, and they're going against Tampa Bay. So I think that's going to be pretty good. Kyle Murray's been a top 10 quarterback, and they've been running the most offensive plays in the league. What good or bad, volume is always good in fantasy football. Good or bad football, volume is always good, no matter if it's good offense or bad offense. Mark Ingram, I think he's gonna have a bounce back week against Cincinnati. Chris Carson is going against Cleveland. Cleveland's defense looks to be falling apart, and Seattle's like running on all cylinders right now. And Kerryon Johnson against Green Bay. Green Bay hasn't been able to stop the run. So I think that combination and that sneaky pickup of the Redskins defense, I think, like you said, it's going to be a sloppy game, but sloppy games, turn into pick sixes, turns into punt returns for touchdowns. I think that's a good time to have a defense. I can see the Redskins, rallying around their new interim coach, whoever the hell that guy is. Georgia's team is great. What worries me is he has Jared Goff and Cooper Kupp against San Francisco. And San Francisco's defense looks next level. They look like a championship contender team, really. Either that or the Browns are really, really, really bad. It's a close game. I need to catch up points. So I switched from George. Sorry, buddy. I'm going with the hat friend, Steven Mushkin.
Hey, let me just jump in there. I think George is going to win, and I just want to say that all the shitting on me and George that you guys do is going to be really awesome for us to vindictively win this league, be in the playoffs. The Gypsies are in the fucking palace. We are here to tear down all that you adore. The fucking losers will be the winners, and you guys will never take the league back from us.
I will say,
I think I get more shit than you guys.
It is week 5. Okay, you haven't even got your fucking ticket validated to get into the palace yet. You're like outside in a fucking velvet rope line that's miles long, and the bouncer is looking at his clipboard and he doesn't see your name on the list right now. Okay, because you could still crash and burn.
Look, man,
you in fact have been there before.
I have, but I'll say this is quite like an important week, right? Like this is the week before 2 and 4s are formed, 1 and 5s are formed. If I go to 5 and 1, there's going to be a lot of separation there. There needs to be a lot of the winners losing and losers winning to bring us back to.
That's it, man. You did yourself in, Justin. You gave the big word. You said the if. You either fucking know or you don't know.
I know, baby.
All right?
I know, baby.
Gypsies need to know. All right. You want to raid the castle? You got to know you can climb the wall. You don't say if I go to 5 and 1. It's I'm going to 5 and 1.
I agree with you.
This weekend. Say it.
I'm going to 5 and 1, baby.
There you go. That's how it's done.
Well, now to talk about George and Mushkin, I am also going with George here. Mushkin's team can compete. It's going to be a close game. I think Will Fuller is not going to get his this week. It's point chasing because I think D-Hop is the one that goes off, and that's why I picked Justin. Christian Kirk, I don't think he's going to get out there. And then Mushkin already doesn't want to start Marcus Valdes-Scantling. One of the things I didn't mention with Carlson is that he needs Devonta Adams to play. He doesn't even have him in the lineup. I think he is going to play this week, and I think that's going to limit Mushkin's wide receiver 2 action. And I think Ezekiel Elliott only has like 12 points this entire season, like as his best game. I think we're due for like an Ezekiel Elliott 30-point game. And what better opportunity to do that at the Jets on the road, pound rock. I think what you said about Jared Goff and Cooper is true against the 49ers. But this guy, he's got weapons at every position, and I think Zeke is going to carry the hay for him. Carry the what is that? What do they carry? I don't know. What's the
balls?
What's a colloquial saying?
The day.
Carry the day.
Carry the day.
Not the hay, but the day.
Yeah, these aren't wagons. Okay.
You can,
All right. Yeah.
When did this become like the medieval times? We're talking about castles and wagons and hay and horses being fed. I mean, one thing, it's just great to have George here and Justin at this position. I mean, it's good to have you guys competing, honestly. And I think George does continue his winning streak.
Chris is just happy because he's 4-1. So he's like, oh, yeah, you guys could be here with me. It's cool.
No. I'm humbled to be here, and I'll make sure that.
I for one am appalled that the fucking Gypsies are trying to get in the palace.
Yeah. Moving on to the next matchup. We got Kevin versus Josh. Oh my God.
Well, Kevin.
Oh yeah.
Moving on.
Eric.
Kevin versus Josh.
Go.
Who do you got?
So from here, I honestly, like at first sight, I had Josh. Kevin's now dropped his entire lineup. Back to the.
I hate when he does this.
He does this shit, and he hasn't done it all season. But he's in panic mode. So when Kevin's in panic mode, he makes irrational and impulsive decisions. And just because of that, I've got Josh. Yeah, Damian Williams, I think, is going to do a great job against the Texans for Kev there, and Rodgers always does well against the Lions, and especially since it's Monday night, Rodgers is special, but he just hasn't been getting in the end zone. I mean, it's the rising of Aaron Jones, I guess, and that's what you want, right? You want the Packers not to have to depend on Aaron Rodgers' arm the whole time, only in big moments. But yeah, Josh on one end has Brady at home, great. Lev Bell, maybe not so much, but Chubb's going to do great against Seattle at home. And I love running backs at home either way. Chris Godwin has been a monster. I don't know how else to put it there. I mean, the guy is Jameis Winston's favorite wide receiver. And we all watched Hard Knocks 2 years ago and we're like, oh, Godwin. And Jameis loves him. And it just was crap. And now you look 2 years later and you're like, what the fuck? It really developed. So yeah, it's to me, I think Josh's team is a slight edge. It's a pretty close matchup. Gallup, I think, is a good receiver. I think Kevin is pulling out some pretty solid receivers with Michael Thomas and Gallup, and he's not too far off with his tight end play compared to what Josh has going. But at the end of the day, the two running back tandems that Josh is unleashing, hey Josh. Just you got the Jets going against Kevin there. I would love to see nothing but the Jets lose, but also produce at the positions you need to beat Kev. I got Josh in this one.
Well, even though Kevin right now has a 4% probability of winning because he has no one starting on his team, I'm going with Kevin because I only have 11 wins. Sounds like a good matchup, matching us together. I don't think Josh has good matchups coming in. First off, he's starting Chris Herndon, who's just coming off of I don't know what was it, PEDs or something. Adam Gase actually had to have him try out to start on the team. He's like, first put him in the practice squad. He's like, I got to make sure that he's ready. So I don't know what his utilization is going to be. Stephon Diggs was complaining and wanted to get traded. And you know what happened the next week? Thielen got all the touches. Stephon Diggs didn't. So I don't think that's a good sign that he's going to do that well. Chris Godwin going against the Panthers. Mike Evans didn't do anything. And kind of like what happened with Hopkins and Fuller, I think it's a similar situation where Evans is going to get a lot of looks and Chris Godwin will be left as decoy. And Le'Veon Bell against Dallas is not a good matchup. But on the other side, Kevin has who does he have? That was a good matchup. Devontae Freeman at Arizona. Arizona hasn't been good against anything. He also has Jimmy Graham, who's been his Aaron Rodgers' top target, so he has that nice little combo going for him. Chargers going against Pittsburgh, who has a third string quarterback, or he could pick the Ravens defense against Cincinnati.
He's gonna pick the wrong one. I can already tell. Yeah, because he doesn't know who he wants to play.
Yeah, I mean, they're both pretty good matchups. Yeah, well, I mean, one might become a better matchup than the other, but who knows? And then Michael Gallup against the Jets, another good matchup that he has going into this week. So I think Kevin Kim has a good chance as the other black guy in the league.
Other colored fella.
Yeah, colored fella. I think he's gonna pull this one out.
I'm going with my boy Joshy here, the weatherman. I think he is not paying attention, probably very busy with a child that he's about to have and freaking out about it because he didn't make a waiver claim. He didn't make any waiver claims this week. And, you didn't need to be paying that close attention to know that Chris Herndon was a really big question mark this week. He picked him up in anticipation of solving his tight end problem. And all indications were that we don't know what it's going to be. And then Gerald Everett shows up and the dude doesn't even make a bid on him. And that's like his main weakness in his roster. And it's a problem because I think it opens the door here for Kevin. In addition to that, he desperately needed a defense. And so he's been left at the door or at the altar, I guess, with the Falcons D, which is ranked by consensus 24th out of 32 this week. So not great.
No bueno.
So he is opening the door for Kevin to win this. But I think despite that, I think he still can beat him because I anticipate he will improve his defense and pick up another tight end. But Tom Brady against the Giants, come on. he's gonna fucking go off. Josh Gordon, he's scored 1 touchdown this year. I think Josh Gordon is gonna go off this game. I think he's gonna get 1 big play, and I think that's gonna be the difference to send them over the edge. I think Chris Godwin, the number 1 receiver on the year, you have to think he's gonna do well. Le'Veon Bell gets Darnold back. This is enormous. If Darnold is just the bottom third QB in the league, he will have double the output from Le'Veon Bell. And so I really believe in those players. And Kevin has just a lot of decisions to make. Is he going to start Damian Williams or LaShawn McCoy? He doesn't know. He can't pick. Is he going to start Chargers or the Ravens? Oh, he doesn't know. He can't pick. Michael Thomas and Michael Gallup, the Michaels. George Michaels, they're going to be great. But Aaron Rodgers, I don't anticipate he's going to go off. I think that now he's becoming more of a Drew Brees. Wants to rely on his defense, wants to rely on his running game, and just play very efficient football. He's not a guy that's intent on throwing for 350 yards and 3 TDs a game. He wants the W's, and I think you're going to get a ho-hum fantasy performance. So ultimately, Josh, despite his fuck-ups.
Wow. How ended up in a high note. You're fucking up, but I still got you, buddy. Don't worry. So,
I mean, he is.
Yeah, no, I know. But it's just funny. I wasn't expecting that. Next matchup is Nieves versus Ben. I got Nieves winning this one. When you have basically an entire team's offense in one player, Christian McCaffrey, it's like you just as long as the rest of your team is like okay, like you're gonna win games just purely on that guy's back. It's crazy, and I really don't like the Hillman play from Ben. I do like the Shark play. He seems to be Minshew's favorite. He's catching a touchdown every day. Hawkinson hasn't been really doing well from since that first game. You know, last game he finally caught a touchdown, but other than that, it was only 3 catches. And but other than that, I really don't see his team really putting out that many points. So I got Nieves winning this one.
I suppose I'll go next and talk about this matchup. This is a low-key rivalry matchup. These guys came into the league the same year as and I guess replacement teams and expansion teams. I don't remember.
They're like the Jaguars and the Panthers of our league.
Correct. And I would guess that would make Danny Nieves the Jaguars and Ben the Panthers, except Ben's won a championship. Ben has made waves. He's shown that he can do what it takes to get to the playoffs and win, even though I don't think he's been to the playoffs. He missed the playoffs first year, won the championship, and then missed the playoffs last year. But he's 3-2 and he's poised. But so is Nieves. He's 3-2. That said, cut to the chase. You got to go with Nieves here. Nieves' team is still very powerful. He's putting up a lot of points. This team could easily be 4-1. His weakest spot is his tight end, which he didn't have the opportunity. He didn't go and get Gerald Everett. I think he was counting on Evan Ingram to make a quick recovery, but it seems like Evan Ingram's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks, and so this is a weak spot for Nieves. But he's got Larry Fitzgerald's on the bench right now, which is a starter on many of these other teams. He catches Ben at a weak point, having to start Hillman, Saquon on the bench. And that's, I think, going to be the difference in this one for Nieves. McCaffrey is going to go off. James Conner is healthy despite that injury scare, and he'll do enough. He gets back Kenny Golladay, who's been a wide receiver 1 for all intents and purposes over the course of the season. Got back Alshon Jeffrey, who has taken all the work from Nelson Aguilar and is looking good. You just got to like the squad. I mean, the one thing is his defense. I don't know how you can feel confident rolling out the Rams D, and I don't know if he made a play on them going, but I guess they went 10-9-10, but then they went 5 and then -1, and now they're playing against San Francisco, who looks on fire. So we'll see. Maybe I'll have egg on my face, but I would be very, very worried about playing them. But at the end of the day, firepower.
Yeah, Commissioner, I don't like either defense because the Panthers against Tampa Bay has been putting up a lot of points. Every game that they've been in has been a shootout. I was really tempted to take Ben's team. I like Dak Prescott against the Jets. I like Sony Michel. Against the Jets, and Sony. I like Sony Michel against the Giants. If you would have plugged in Saquon Barkley into this lineup instead of Jonathan Hillman, I would hands down have gone with Ben's team. I'm just not sure if his workload.
And he's got Josh Jacobs on the bye too,
and he has Josh Jacobs on the bye. Yeah, so even if he just had one of those two guys, I think I would have gone with Ben. It's just hard, especially with like TJ Hawkinson being so hot and cold, either catching one catch for 2 yards or popping off for a touchdown and 4 or 5 catches. I also like the DK Metcalf that at the flex. I think Cleveland's been exposed. They have both their cornerbacks out last week, so I don't know if they're going to be back or healthy. So I think that's a great play at the flex. But if you look at Nieves' team, his whole team is safe and solid. I mean, McCaffrey is in his own planet right now. James Conner is the guy because they don't even have a quarterback. They're going to be running the Wildcat, doing all this sort of crazy stuff. So he's going to get a ton of volume. And like you said, Kenny Golladay, when he's active and playing, he's a receiver 1. So I'm going also with Nieves. Murder, death, kill.
Yep, I'll chime in quickly. Agreed. It's not Hillman, guys. It's Hillyman.
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 Oh, there's another eye.
It's Hillyman.
No wonder I didn't know who we were talking about.
Even worse, Ben. What the fuck, man? I look, your receivers, Ben. I think that they're tricky. They're sneaky good. DJ Chark is actually leading the AFC in receiving and has done a great job. Being a go-to guy for Gardner Minshew and showing that he has got skills there in his second year in Jacksonville. We talk about Hawkinson. Hawkinson is not the fact that Hawkinson, like, he's hit or miss. It's the fact that it depends on the matchup for him, what I've seen. He plays a good defense, and Green Bay has a great pass defense. They're gonna smother him. So I do agree with you, Eric. That's a decline there. And then on the other end, you see everything that finishing it up there, Tyler Boyd, obviously, another solid, good receiver in Cincinnati and has been putting up stats. But yeah, Nieves' team, you just top to bottom, it's too good. I'm concerned a little bit about Carson Wentz at Minnesota. I don't know how he'll do against that defense, and especially on the road. I'm not a big fan of Wentz when he leaves the link. But other than that, top to bottom, yeah, he's gonna put up points. Maybe not as much as we've been seeing MDK put up, but it's gonna be enough to get past Ben this week because Ben just doesn't have much going his way.
I gotta say, life is like an elevator. On your way up, sometimes you have to stop and let some people off, and you're gonna let Ben off on the ground floor of a loss.
Ben goes to 500. The hat friends are declining.
Oh man, I guess it's time for the next segment. It's Doughboys Game of the Week.
In the court, everyone. In the case of the rat versus the corrupt, we have Judge Robinson residing upon us. And
Order!
And in the back and in the corner there, we have Eric deciding and laying down the law. Brunken's corner of mallets, whatever I'm trying to say.
I'm going to recuse myself because of my relationship with the defendant, and I am now appointing the Honorable Justice Aiello to the bench.
Ooh, a surprise!
Justice Aiello is not particularly learned in these matters, but he will hear your cases.
All right. So, in the first, I can't defend myself. You got to bring it up. What are we doing? We're going to defend the quarterbacks?
You defend your quarterback, dude. Why is your quarterback so shitty? That's what I am asking.
Matt Ryan in my hand, Eminem. Here's what I got to say about Matt Ryan. He's going to Arizona. He's desperate. He just got pummeled by the Texans. He knows the Falcons need a win. He's a franchise quarterback, former MVP. He's going to fucking put in work. And you're going to Cleveland. Cleveland with Russell Hustle Wilson. All right? There's nothing to be found in Cleveland but some dog shit, dog pound stuff. Cleveland's also butthurt, but it's not a great place to play. I'm going to say Matt Ryan doubles it up on you.
Ooh, doubles on Wilson? that's insane. Look, Wilson, like,
You know what's funny? Are you guys on ESPN real quick, by the way? It says Tom Brady is the Seattle quarterback at Cleveland. The judge was getting confused here. Apologies.
That thing gets fucked up all the time.
yeah.
ESPN is
So-
What a
funky.
piece of shit.
Look,
Yeah.
look, Duval, you said it perfectly. All there is in Cleveland is dog shit, because that's what Cleveland's team looks like right now. Russell's the number 1 QB in the year. He's playing like his mind out. He's playing unbelievably. He's the MVP right now in the league, and he's going to continue doing that. Matt Ryan has been playing from behind. His team looks shitty. The O-line looks bad. Doesn't have no running game. It's basically a coin flip of what you're going to get out of Matt Ryan.
Well, he's about to coin flip my way. Heads it is. All right, Kenyon Drake. All right, he's going to play against Washington. So is Todd Gurley going to play at home against San Fran. I told you I love running backs at home. You've got 2 running backs on the road. Yeah, AP, I see what you're doing there. You think Miami's going to bend over to that old man. Well, guess what? He's on the Medicare there for the league. Kenyon Drake is going to hustle all weekend long. He's going to try to get the Dolphins a win. He's going to catch out of the backfield. He's going to run the rock. He's going to get in the end zone. And Todd Gurley, well, you know what? Todd Gurley just loves playing those divisional games. And San Francisco has not had a solution for Todd Gurley in years. And yeah, you might be flexing Kamara there, but on the road against the Jags, that could be a little scary. It's a good matchup. It's a good head-to-head. I see what we're doing here at the Hard Rock Stadium against each other with AP and Drake. But again, I'm going to say Doughboy, Dough Nose. I win on that matchup.
Drake is going against Washington. Yeah, sure. Miami hasn't been able to do anything against anybody, and they're going to continue that trend. Todd Gurley is going against one of the best defenses in the league right now. In San Francisco, the Rams don't look like they're the same team as they were last year. The Jags, without Jalen Ramsey, are nowhere near the same defense as they were, and they keep on getting run all over the place, and they get on getting passed on. AP versus the Dolphins, it's literally a toss-up. It's just like, it depends. Are they going to throw 50 times and get 5 touchdowns in the air and then run it out in the thing? Is it going to be a close game because they're both shitty teams? Doesn't matter in each scenario. I like Peterson.
All right, so let's go to the receivers, all right? Let's discuss about that. And you know me, I love fucking primetime. And while we both got a primetime matchup against each other with Keenan Allen and Juju Smith-Schuster, I also got Edelman with Philip Dorsett now out for the game. He's going to get all the love, and he loves playing in Foxborough. So I'm going to start off on Thursday night, and I'm going to even dip into my flex. You heard everything I had to say about Matt Ryan going to Arizona, how desperate they are. Calvin Ridley's looking like the up-and-coming guy for that franchise. Julio Jones has been phased out in a way, while Calvin Ridley has been the one that comes in clutch. I mean, it was a beautiful touchdown this past weekend. And Keenan Allen, Edelman, and Ridley, you just don't have an answer. You're hoping Tyreek Hill comes back. I'm going to tell you what, it's a surprise scratch. Juju, Devlin Hodges throwing him the ball. Come on, you got to be kidding me. Especially when he has Vonner, I forget the guy's name. And he was the corner for the Chargers going up against him. He's going to shut him down. And you're just living on a prayer that Auden Tate is going to...
Hayward.
There we go. Casey.
Hayward.
Oh, I was going to say Connor Hayward. Well, it's Casey Hayward. Whoopsie. Auden Tate has no chance. He's going to be, trying to get some garbage touchdown like he did last week against the Cardinals. It was a stupid little gimmick play. In real football, real route tree running, Auden Tate is just a phony, and you're trying to play somebody that's giving you a little bit of a lifeline. I'm going to take my 3-headed receivers over your little pitter-putter wideouts.
I mean, if Tyreek touches the field, he's gonna light it up. It's KC. The receivers have been spread out. They haven't, and especially with Watkins out, they haven't been really living up to the KC expectation. But with Hill on the field, I think they're gonna be able to live up to that. Juju, I know it's really funny. It's like we seem to think that Juju is having a bad season. He is, because of the expectations that we've been living up to him. But the only game that he had was a bad game was against Cincinnati. Every other game he's hit double digits. So it seems to be, it doesn't matter whether it's Ben Roethlisberger, Mason Rudolph, or Hodges in the game, he's still getting the ball looked at him, and he's still getting the points. He just needs to get the touchdowns to go with them. And Auden Tate, yeah, he's new, he's whatever. The Cardinals game didn't go the way that he did, but he's on the field 90% of the time. He's getting the looks in the end zone. It's just a matter of time of when they drop, So, yeah, Calvin Ridley's out there. Sanu has been looking better throughout the season too. So let's just see if Ridley actually lives up to the hype that he's been living up to. I mean, that he's been given. So that's what I have to say about my receivers.
Too much what ifs, too much.
All right. Well, we've already lost all our viewers. I think we should go to the head judge to see who won this, because I picked the Doughboy, Robinson picked Eminem. So I think Justin, our judge, needs to do the final ruling on who's better.
Well, as I showed in the BDFFL group chat on this picture, I can't make this decision because it has all the players from Josh's team showing for Eminem, and I didn't listen to anything about what was said in the last 5 minutes.
This is good.
So
This is good.
all that
Good
being
stuff.
said, I gotta go with my
Yes.
401 homie, Doughboy.
Wow.
Keep it rolling, Doughboy.
A couple 5-1 homies next week.
Shut the faggot. I hate
Oh,
you so
God.
much.
There we go.
This is like-
Running in the 5-1.
All right, wrap it up.
all right.
Wait,
Bye.
make the podcast
Eminem,
longer.
I'm ending your speech.
Hold on.
I'm ending
Wait.
your
I
speech.
love clean up
You
you
guys,
ratted on
breaking
me.
news.
You ratted on me.
I didn't rat on you. You
Okay.
ratted on
Breaking
yourself.
news.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Have you guys followed the Matt Lauer story at all? Do you know about what happened like a while ago?
Didn't he like sexually harass?
Yeah. So like this woman.
Yeah, he like come out with like a sweater with nothing else on or something. Like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this woman who was a producer at NBC just published a book where she said that he raped her, and then said that when they worked together at the Sochi Olympics, she was too drunk to consent to the sex. But then noted in the book that they had multiple consensual sexual encounters after that. So Matt Lauer came out today with a lengthy statement, and he said, I have never assaulted anyone or forced anyone to have sex. Period. And then he said, hold on, sorry.
Okay, no, please take your
She
time.
came into my hotel room very late one night in Sochi, Russia. We engaged in a variety of sexual acts. We performed oral sex on each other. We had
Nice.
vaginal sex,
Nice.
and we had anal sex.
Nice.
Each act was mutual and completely consensual. There was absolutely nothing aggressive about the encounter. Brooke did not do or say anything to object. She certainly did not cry. She was a fully enthusiastic and willing partner.
Yeah.
At no time did she behave in a way that made it appear she was incapable of consent, and she seemed to know exactly what she wanted to do. I mean, what a
Well done.
fucking retort right there.
Well
Like
done.
you want to try and destroy my life? Let me talk about the anal. Let me talk about every sex position that we had.
Yeah. You do it in the butt.
Doggy, missionary, cowgirl.
We haven't
Okay,
tried Amazon. That was good.
Time out.
We did
Stop.
that position that
I
you
had
like
to
to
end
do
the
with your
show.
husband.
Like we had to end the show.
What?
Yeah, this has to end. I'm
This is
sorry.
good.
Like,
What the
come on,
fuck?
like this is an hour 20. This has nothing to do with anything.
This is good stuff.
This is better content than the last 10 minutes of fucking
This is
analysis.
good. This is good. I love mop it up, kids puke.